Welcome back to the Gamble Smart channel. Mark here. Happy Tuesday morning to everybody out there. Today we are talking about Dragon Link. We got a lot of requests for this in the comments and emails recently, so we thought we'd do just a quick video on everything about Dragon Link. A lot of this stuff applies to all the Link games like Lightning Link, etc. But here we go. We're going to talk about the basics first, but then we're going to get into some of the advanced stuff and things that you probably didn't know were buried in the game rules. And then also a little secret on how you can tell right off the bat when you get into that spin and hold feature whether you have a chance of hitting that grand or not. So stay tuned for that. Let's get going. All right, guys, as always, if you are new here, we certainly want to welcome you to the Gamble Smart channel. We do these daily tips and tricks and general education on gambling every single day of the week, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Central. We would love to have you here, so a subscription would be nice, thumbs up, and also ring that bell for notifications because we do go live from time to time. Just a quick note, we will not have our regular schedule live this week. We've got some business travel in the works, so we're not going to be able to make it, but we have something special lined up for next week, so stay tuned for that. All right, so we are talking about Dragon Link today, and it's a famous game. It's very popular still. It's been out for a very long time. You can find it in most casinos these days. This game gets played a lot, and it's surprising that it, and as well as a lot of the Lightning Links, are still on the top 10 list for slot machines that get the most play, and so it makes sense. People like this game. So there's a lot to this game. There's basically two different types of bonuses. Let's talk about that first. So the first bonus is basically when you get the 3 lanterns or 3 some kind of object. It depends on what variant of the game you're playing, but 3 bonus symbols essentially, and that triggers a bonus. You get 6 free spins, and then basically you have a very big reel in the middle, which is for reels 2, 3, and 4, and then you have the smaller reels on 1 and 5. And basically it plays out just like a normal spin would do, except you got those gigantic symbols down the middle. Okay, so a couple of things that can happen during this bonus is you can get some nice line hits, especially if you connect like a king or whatever the case is on the theme that you're playing. But if you end up getting that ball, which is called a big ball, then you trigger the spin and hold feature. And something in the game rules that I'm going to put up on the screen here you didn't know, is that one actually starts at a 5 times multiplier of your bet, where on the regular spin and hold feature it starts at 1 times your bet. Okay, so you're getting a little bit of a juicer there just to start that spin and hold feature because it's going to be at least minimum 5 times your bet, and it can go up from there. Okay, so that's the first thing you can hit, and then of course you can also get more free games. I believe it triggers 3 additional free games if you get the free game symbol and the giant right in the middle. Okay, so that's how the free games plays out, but let's get on to what everybody plays this game for, and that's the spin and hold feature. All right, so the first thing before we get into that, let's talk about the progressives. So there's always 2 progressives on these. The others are bonuses, not to be confused with the progressives. This is the major and the grand. Did you know, and this is actually in the game rules, that you can win those on any wagered spin? You do not have to be in the spin and hold feature, and you also do not have to be in the free games to get these. Any wager spin, you can get the major or the grand. Now this is pretty rare. I've only seen this a couple of times on YouTube where people have gotten just the surprise major or grand, but it's possible, okay? So don't be shocked if you end up getting it outside of the bonus rounds, because it can happen. All right, let's talk about the spin and hold feature. So how do you capture it? You get it by getting 6 balls on the screen to land at one time on a real spin, okay? And that will jump you into the spin and hold feature. So what you're trying to do basically is to fill the entire board to 15, okay? If you fill every single spot with an orb or a ball, you get the grand jackpot, okay? Along the way, these balls are gonna land and they're gonna have different credit values on them. And according to the game rules, the credit values that you'll see are anywhere from 1 times your bet all the way up to 250 times your bet. So that's why a lot of times you see a lot of the lower balls, because it's going to be weighted heavily towards those lower amounts, okay? It's not going to be a random selection between 250 and 1. It's going to be heavily weighted to those smaller ones, so that's why you typically see that. Every now and then you'll see that big one pop, but it's hard to hit. There's still an RNG that's picking from this stuff, but just imagine again a big bucket of ping pong balls, and it's just loaded with the 1, 2, and 3 times your bet, and then very few, maybe 1 ball in there on that big old thing is a 250 times your bet. Okay, it's just harder to pick from, but it's still a random selection. So the game is not predetermined when you're in the spin and hold feature, and that's one of the big things that people have asked us is that predetermined? The answer is no, it is not. It is still an RNG stop. So as long as you collect 1 orb on a spin, it will reset your spins to 3, and you will keep doing that as long as you get at least 1 orb within those 3 spins. Otherwise the game is over. Okay, now if you collect all 15, of course, you get that grand at the very top, and that's the cool one, right? That's what everybody wants to get. I'm going to share something with you that you probably have not seen or heard before, but you can tell at the very beginning, as soon as you get into the spin and hold bonus and you do that first spin, you will see the reel start to spin a little bit. And you will see basically different orbs falling in each of the little squares, right? And each of those squares are actual individual reels, okay? So there's actually 15 reels on that game during the bonus round, during the spin and hold. So what are you looking for here? There will be one square that is mysteriously very empty of the balls floating by, okay? So when you press that spin button, look for a square where you do not see the ball going by at all, okay? On the next spin, that square is going to move around that board, okay? But there is going to be a square that doesn't have anything in it. If you see that, then your chances of getting the grand are almost down to zero, okay? It's still possible, but your chances are very, very low on that. But if you look at all 15 squares and you see balls flowing through all 15 of them on every single spin that you do in the spin and hold feature, you have a chance at the grand, okay? And a relatively good chance. So it's kind of interesting to watch, and I wish I had video of it right here. I don't want to steal anybody's content because I don't play Dragon Link, unfortunately. But go out there and look at these spin and hold features if you don't want to do it yourself, and watch people play it and look for that square. It's really interesting. It will move around, okay? What is the technical explanation to that, okay? So whenever you're in the spin and hold feature, like I mentioned just previously, each one of those squares is a separate reel, okay? So it's basically a 15 reel machine, okay? What happens is each of those reels or each of those squares is a different virtual reel table, okay? So it's basically a collection of symbols and objects being the balls or the orbs or whatever it is that you're collecting, okay? If you don't have access to that grand, or it looks like you're not going to get that grand, the virtual reel table for that square is in the tens of thousands, where there's only one option inside of there for the ball to land. And so it doesn't have a full cycle through the reel whenever you press that spin button. And so you're not going to see it. Okay, so that gives you a good indication that you're not going to get a good chance at the grand. But if you do see it, it means that that virtual reel table is a lot shorter and there's more balls present for you to pick from, or for the RNG to pick from. So I hope I didn't lose anybody there. It's kind of a weird technical explanation, but it's fascinating to watch. Now, not all the Link games do this. Lightning Link, Dragon Link, I know for sure do this, but I think Buffalo Link may not do that. So it's just on some of the games that you can look for this, and it's really fascinating. All right, and the last thing is a Lucky Chance Spin, and this is available on Lightning Links as well as the Dragon Links, and some other games have this too, but those are the two that you really got to find. And this is the one that Dave likes to look for, because if you have a ticket that's of low value, let's say it's 78 cents or $2.50 or something like that, you can actually get a chance at a full wagered amount spin on those games without having to commit to the full wagered amount. So what did I just say? Basically, let's say that you want to do a $5 bet. You can put a couple of dollars in and do a $2 bet on that $5 wager, and you might get lucky and get the spin, okay? Now, the further away you are from the bet amount, the harder it is to get that lucky chance winner, okay? So, for example, if you were wanting to do a $25 spin and you only put a dollar in, your chances of getting that lucky chance winner is very small. But if you are trying to do a $5 bet and you put $2 in, your chances are a little bit better, okay? It's never 100%. We've seen people try to see how long they can last by just putting dollar bills in and doing the full amount. Hey, I mean, sometimes you can get lucky and you can just hit it just right. But it's not a guaranteed win, but it's certainly something that you should consider, especially for the leftover tickets that you have. I mean, why not? Try to get the full spin out of putting less than the bet in. You know, it's a cool thing. Anyway, that is all I can tell you about Dragon Link. Again, it's not a game I personally play because the volatility is pretty high. It's one of those games that you really need to commit to a certain number of spins or a certain number of amount of money before you even sit down, because it will get you chasing. You'll keep getting 5 orbs and 4 orbs, and just you can't ever get the full 6. It's designed that way, and it's designed to keep you chasing, and that's what high volatility games are built like. And so we want you to be very careful if you do sit down and play one of those games, which is perfectly fine. Just limit the number of spins and don't put your entire bankroll in there and you'll be fine. All right, guys, I hope you learned something today. As always, thank you so much, and we appreciate every single one of you for subscribing and giving us a thumbs up. And we will see you tomorrow morning for the next tip. Take care, gamble smart, gamble safe. Bye-bye.